Hi everyone, good evening. So, as Vinita said, I am a feminist. But I often get told, you don't look like one. And my response to that usually is that I left my horns behind at home today. Usually I carry them around, but that is the first kind of tagging and typecasting that I have experienced all my life as long as I've been a feminist. That I don't look like one. Now, I added to this terrible thing by deciding to work as a young woman, and when I went for my first job interview, I was told by my bosses at a publishing house called Oxford University Press in Delhi that we don't usually employ women in executive positions because they get married and go away. So I wasn't a feminist quite like I am now then, otherwise I would have been enraged at this thing. But 40 years later, I still haven't got married. And my bosses who are still alive often say to me, but why haven't you got married? Women have to get married. So that's the other kind of typecasting that happens. I think there's a lot of ways in which women are typecast, and that have to do with the way people perceive you, with the way they see you, and with the way they expect to see you. And I shan't go into any more detail because you've heard a lot of people saying that very same thing. But I think there are other ways too. And I want to give you a little story to explain to you what some of these other ways are. All the remarks I make will be tied to little stories. I'm a publisher and a writer, and I run a small independent feminist publishing house, publishing books by and about women. A group of us, independent publishers, who are quite strong in India, started a publishing group called Independent Publishers Group, which had in it initially 10 members, of whom 5 were women and 5 were men. At our very first meeting, the women turned up early. So we sat around talking. It was just accidental because our offices were close by. We are all CEOs of our companies. We turned up early, we sat around talking, drinking coffee, waiting for the guys to come. The first fellow turned up. He flung the door open and he looked in and said, "Oh, nobody's come." That's the second thing. You are visible in particular ways, but you're invisible in very, very important ways.